Hello and welcome back to Pictorial on Relay FM. I'm Quinn Rose. I'm someone who did not go to art school, but that's fairly unrelated to what we're talking about today anyway.
Hi, I'm Betty. I am also someone who did not go to art school, but I have been working as a gallery guide in an art gallery for the past 8 years, which is also kind of relevant to what we're talking about today, but, we'll see.
We'll bring it around. And we also have a very special guest.
Hi, my name is Ponders, and I also did not go to school to study art or art history. I studied math and music, of all things, but it's also super not relevant to what we're talking about today.
So Ponders runs an amazing podcast called Accession, which everyone should go listen to, and it has really interesting angles into art history and making fine art more accessible to more people. And instead of talking about anything about that, I really just wanted them here to talk about Animal Crossing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so so you guys know, I am someone who has not played Animal Crossing because I don't have any devices currently that can play the game, but I'm sure that will change very soon.
That's our mission here.
Yeah, I should also add that, like, in the world of, like, us not being qualified to talk about these things, I haven't owned a video game system in almost a decade before I bought the Switch so that I could play Animal Crossing. So, layers upon layers of unqualified, like, opinions here.
It is actually kind of funny because I'm someone who normally plays a lot of video games. Quinn and I did an episode exclusively about video games, and I was all like, I played this game and this game and this game. And here I am, the person who has not played this game.
The world is upside down.
Yeah. Well, this is true.
This isn't just an excuse to talk about a video game we like. There is actually a lot of art content in the new Animal Crossing's New Horizons game. And so kind of how we're going to do this is because Betty has not played this game, even though, yes, we will be trying to convince her to buy a Switch so that she can play it. I figure you can kind of lead this episode, and we'll talk a little bit about what Animal Crossing is and also get really into what these different fine art pieces in this video game are and why they exist there.
Yeah, I did a little bit of research on, like, kind of what this is. So I guess, like, here I'll tell you guys my limited understanding of what I know so far, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. And then I have some questions for you guys because there are some things I don't understand. So from what I've looked up, so this is a game published by Nintendo. There's been 5 iterations of the Animal Crossing games. The first one was released in 2001, and then the most recent one, New Horizons, was released March of this year, 2020. And so it seems like you as the player, you're a human, I think. You live in a village, and there are animals. And all I know, there's, like, fishing involved, and I guess you could have houses and put stuff in it, and you can, like, change your clothes and your appearance, and that's all I know about this game.
I mean, that's more or less it.
Yeah, that's pretty much hole in one right there.
Well, so, like, my first question is actually, what is the objective of this game, or if there even is one?
So there is a little bit of the structure to the game in that the concept is you are dropped into a desert island. There are some animals there who run businesses and you can interact with, and some are other villagers who are just chilling. And you can kind of, like, achieve goals throughout the game by building a better and better island and sort of unlocking new things and getting a better, like, star rating for your island. Like, Yelp exists in this universe, I guess. But you don't have to work towards that. Basically, it's just a sandbox game where you get to run around and make it however you want. So if you want to make your focus, like, catching all the bugs or the fish, or, like, having the most flowers and different kinds of flowers, there's so many different directions you can explore, or you can make your focus, like, making a super beautiful island or a super beautiful house. So it's on one level, like, you can kind of explore the game however you want to and sort of pick a focus as you go, or you can, as some people have, devote their entire lives to making, like, a 5-star luxury resort island that makes us all very confused about how they possibly managed to do that in this video game.
in the short amount of time. Because I think the other thing about this game that is so interesting to me is it's time locked.
Yes.
That time in the game passes at the exact same rate as time in the real world. So if I were to turn on the game right now, it would be 7:15 on Saturday. If I turn it on in the morning, it'll be tomorrow morning. And so you can't, like, every single day slightly different things might happen on your island. So, like, some days you'll have the person who sells plants will come to your island, or maybe the person who really likes bugs and will buy all the bugs from you for all the flick stands out there. And then, like, some days you get some very, very few and far between days, I'm so upset about it, Red will come through with his treasure trawler where you can buy art. And it's my favorite day in Animal Crossing. I check every morning just to see if Red is there.
So is it fair to say that it's sort of like a cutesy animal version of, like, Minecraft?
Yeah, I would say there are definite similarities, and sort of the appeal of it, although it's less about... You don't, like, build so much in this game. It's more about, like, design.
Okay. Interesting. So who is Red?
What a good question.
I mean, who are any of these animals? They're all so mysterious.
Yeah. Red did not appear in the game when it first came out. He was, like, an addition who came about a month ago, I think. So for the first couple weeks, month or so that everyone was playing this game, no Red, and now Red is here. He has arrived. And what this means is he basically rolled up the first day you're here. You're just walking around and suddenly there's a fox on your island. And you're like, interesting. So when you talk to the fox, he tells you that he's got some art. He's got some treasure to sell you. The words that he's given to say, like, really make him sound like a used car salesman. And he says that you're like his cousin, so he'll give you a family discount, but it's, like, obviously just the normal price. And you get to buy a piece of art from him.
And the two people who are ostensibly in charge of the business that runs this island, which is Tom Nook, Shady Tom Nook, and Isabel. I believe when you first get Red, they say something akin to, like, there's a shady figure walking around the island, and, like, Tom Nook gives you an explicit warning that, like, that Red is not to be trusted, and this, that, and the other. Which is a hard sell from a guy who's also, like, dealing out home loans left and right. But, you know.
It's like, if Tom Nook doesn't trust someone, that's...
Then red flags.
Red flags. Red with 2 Ds.
And then from that point, after you sort of, like, get that character the first day that he appears, on sporadically, far too sporadically, I will say, Red will show up on your island, and he has a little boat, and it's so dank and dark in there. You can go in the boat, and there are 4 pieces of art that you can examine and buy. You can buy 1 piece of art per day that Red is there, which is why this is, like, such slow going. But the thing is, sometimes they're fake. And I think it's supposed to work out that generally, like, one of the works of art is real, but they can be all real, they can be all fake. And you could either, like, look up. There are guides out there that'll show you, like, which ones are real and which ones are fake. And we can talk about what the fake ones look like in a second because they're really funny. Or you can just, like, test your art history knowledge and see if you can figure out what it's supposed to look like just from memory, because that's a fun game too.
Yep, that's the game I play.
Wow. Oh my God. I just think this one characteristic of this game alone, you have sold the game. Like,
I'm so fascinated by Red because his character is pretty different than the rest of the game. Like, there are other sellers and there's other, like, stuff going on in all these different ways, but they're all pretty, like, upfront. It's all pretty straightforward. Right. And then there's just, like, also there's a shady businessman.
Yep. I actually, I mean, we're not really here to talk about this, but it goes for, like, all the characters in Animal Crossings. There are some that are, like, super characterized and have you understand what they are, and there are others whose whole characteristic is, like, I'm cute or I'm excited. But, like, Red has this I actually think he's one of my favorite characters in the game because of how how like you're just kind of like side-eyeing him the whole time. Like maybe he'll reach into your pocket and take some bells while you're not looking, but like
I just looked up some of the art that he sells, and I just came across a Mona Lisa that looks like she's a Vulcan.
Yeah, the fake art.
And I was like, oh wow, this is like I would buy that one.
There again, with how many like different play styles there are for this game, I've seen YouTube videos of people who have set up like we have one here in Boston, the Museum of Bad Art. They have ignored this whole real fake dichotomy, and they've just set up museums in their own home of all of the fake art and all the like worst art like mistakes that they love, because the Blathers Museum proper, which we need to talk about at some point, will not accept your fake art, and I believe that the place where you can buy and sell things won't buy your fake art for very much. They'll only buy it for like 100 bells. But you can set it up. You could have that Mona Lisa hanging right over your bed or in your science education studio like I have built.
Yeah, I don't even think we explicitly said that every single piece of art that you can buy is based on like a real famous piece of art, like the Mona Lisa.
Oh, yeah.
And it's either like an actual recreation in little Animal Crossing form of the piece of art, or there's something different about it. Sometimes it's super noticeable, like the Vulcan Mona Lisa or something like that, or it's like a completely... There's like I think the Statue of David, the fake one, has a watch on it. Or sometimes it's pretty subtle, and you would actually need to like have you'd have to like really know what that painting or sculpture actually looks like to be able to pick the real from the fake, which is quite interesting. And yeah, the whole thing in the game is that there's a museum that actually is beautifully designed in game, and that's where like you can donate all your like fish and fossils and stuff that you find into the museum, and then they open this art wing that you can donate your art to, but they will not accept the fake art. You cannot sell it. If you get a fake art, you can only like either put it up in your house, or I guess maybe you could try to give it to one of the other villages or something. But yeah, eventually I'm trying to get the real art first, but eventually, like I'm sure I'll play long enough, they will have a complete fake art gallery as well.
Yeah, there's to the point of the subtlety, there's a Velasquez, I believe, where like the difference is that one of the characters isn't wearing a big black hat when it is in the original. And it's like the thing is, it's a really dark painting, and when you go into the treasure trawler, it's a dark, like musky sort of room, and you can look at the painting and you can zoom in, but you can't zoom in too close, which makes me feel like Red's standing there like, hey, back it up from the painting a little bit, you know? But yeah, there's some that are pretty subtle that you would not catch if you didn't know what you were looking for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so fascinating. And yeah, I also Googled a picture of Red, and he looks like really interesting.
He's up to no good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess one of my other questions is kind of like why do you guys think this game is so popular?
I mean, I'll take part of the heat, which is that like we're currently in a global pandemic, and that has made a very intense situation for a lot of people. And it's, I mean, there's a million think pieces that are already out there about how like you get to go to other people's places and not be social distancing and not be quarantined. You get to build a life where you get to interact with other people. Like it's a game about community and connectedness, that came out at a time where those things may be harder to find resources for individuals. But there's also certainly other elements. Like it's hard. We will never know. But like I'm pretty sure if this game did come out not during a pandemic, it would be equally as popular. I just think it kind of got launched into the stratosphere because of a current situation.
Yeah, Animal Crossing has been a successful game series for many years, and so it's always going to be a big deal, but it just like is so intensified by having less other things to do. And I've gone to multiple birthday parties over Animal Crossing. It's a fun way to to have like the social interaction and to just like show off your game. It's so much fun to build something cool in this game or to like collect all your pieces in the museum, and being able to show that off to your friends is a really fun activity.
And it kind of, man, it's hard to say how much of it is designed into the game and how much of it is just a circumstance of how the social internet looks in 2020. But like, it's an immensely shareable game, right? Like, you get to design all sorts of like outfits for your person, which can be as simple as buying them or can be as simple as literally making the outfits yourself in the outfit editor, which we can talk about later. Like, you get to build spaces, so you get to do some urban design, you get to like do art museum collecting, you get to fish, you get to collect all those things, and so there's an element of it's like the element of creativity that everybody engages with when you post on Instagram, which is to say that like, and not like whoever on Instagram, but like, have you ever seen those Instagram pictures that are like everybody takes the same photo on Instagram? Like, all the influencers like they stand out, they put the camera in the tent and they go stand outside of the tent, and then they hit the shutter so that it looks like they're standing outside of their tent, and like 1,000 people have taken this photo. And it's almost the same thing with Animal Crossing, that like you get this little degree of creativity and this little degree of design thinking in the outfit that you've chosen to put on, or the way you've arranged the houses, or whatever small element you've added that's your personal brand. But ultimately, what I think is so interesting is you're still working within the same confined set of tools that everybody has, unless you're cheating, of course. But I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, you know what? In a way, it kind of reminds me of a couple things. One, I think, yeah, that creativity and customizability and doing like houses or your outfits, you know, that also reminds me of games like The Sims, and that, you know, sort of similar thing you get to do and share with other people. It's just like, you know, I think The Sims probably first came out before there was like social media as we know it today. But then the other like more scarier thing that it reminds me of is, have either of you ever seen the show Black Mirror?
Yeah.
I've seen parts of it. I haven't seen all of it, though.
Have you seen the episode where there's a bunch of people and they're riding like what looks like an exercise bike, and they're like looking at like a animated road, and there's like a avatar version of themselves like animated in the TV screen in front of them?
It's Peloton.
Oh, I don't think I've seen this one.
Well, in any case, there's an episode sort of like where it seems like everybody is living in this like jail almost, and you all have your own room, which is this like 10 by 10 box, and there's screens everywhere, and like you have you have an avatar, which is like a little animated 3D person of yourself, and then like you can buy clothes or hats or whatever like in the game to customize it, but the episode is like, I won't spoil it, but basically it ends up being just really screwed up, and like it's just kind of shows you this, you know, post-apocalyptic world where nobody's really interacting with each other. Everybody's interacting with each other through like the like avatar, whether it's a game or something, or like YouTube or whatever video platform. Like people are watching each other on the screen and not really interacting in person anymore. And obviously, like every episode of that show just kind of makes you, I mean, for lack of a better word, you up, and you're just like, oh my god, this, and it's just kind of, this is another example of how like the world is literally Black Mirror.
In a way, though, I think there's a more positive way to look at that, where the sort of Black Mirror dystopian idea of that is that it sort of implies that we all have the option to hang out in person, but instead we choose to live in avatars. Whereas I think this is, like, everyone would rather be hanging out in person, but when we don't have that option, aren't we lucky to have this technology that allows us to simulate it for a little while?
Well, and coming at it more from a technology side, I'm like, there's a part of me that's so thankful that this is a Nintendo product on a Nintendo game, because, like, you know, all the major tech companies that are out there, Nintendo and Apple are up there near the top in terms of like user privacy and making sure that your data stays your own. And so I'm glad that this isn't like an Amazon product that that has been manufactured. We would be in a totally different camp if this were Amazon's New Horizons.
And also, essentially, Animal Crossing is a game that is for kids. Like, it's for everybody, but it's aimed to be an all ages game that kids can enjoy. So it's like, it's so positive and cutesy in all of these different ways where it's like, it's not, I love The Sims, but it's not The Sims. And it's not trying to like approximate any kind of realism in these ways. It's just like, here's a pastel world where everyone's cartoony and you're friends with an octopus.
I do personally, from what I've seen and read and heard about, definitely see Animal Crossing as more of like a positive thing as opposed to dystopian Black Mirror type of thing. And I would say, yeah, like it does seem like of everybody I know is playing it except me, basically. That will change soon. But it really actually does seem, because, you know, like I've been playing video games all of my life, and video game traditionally have been very, you know, gendered or, you know, have specific target audiences. In this game, it really seems like it's for everyone, like whether you're a kid or an adult, whether you're male or female, like it just seems like everybody, it appeals to everyone in some way.
Man, as a non-binary person, this game is my dream. It's so good. There's a question at the beginning that asks if you're a man or a woman, and I just ignored it, and it hasn't affected the game at all. And my character gets to be whoever I want it to be, and I get to dress it however I want to dress it. It's amazing. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff out there about like the ways that the ability to express different genders in Animal Crossing so easily has like helped people in quarantine. I'll try to find a good article for the show notes because there's a lot of really interesting stories out there.
We could also like talk about fashion in this and how the fashion world has intersected with this. I know sometimes fashion and art bleed together and sometimes they're very separate, but the high fashion world has taken to Animal Crossing like a fish in water. It has been a huge like explosion of content and of things. There was a pop-up fashion sale by a designer from New York. I can't remember the name. What is it? Sandy Lang. She made a bunch of Animal Crossing designs because you can design your own clothes, and did a pop-up sale where people were waiting in line for almost 2 hours to get on her island to download the code so that they could get these pieces of Animal Crossing fashion from her design shop. And then there's also the other thing that I found that I thought was super interesting was this Instagram account called Nook Street Market, where designers from New York City have been designing. They designed their clothes and then they go to Harvey's Island where you can take photos in front of different backgrounds, and they've been doing photo shoots with their Animal Crossing avatars in all the clothes that they design, and then they give you those codes. You can go and download the latest fashions. So it's very interesting to me that like how important clothing is to people, and in a time where, like, you know, I think a lot of people are not going out of their house too much, and so you wear the same clothes maybe 2 days in a row, or you know, don't necessarily do your makeup, or you just wear, you know, t-shirt and sweatpants and stuff like that. It's really cool to me that there's still a push to connect with fashion in this way. I found that really interesting.
Fashion designers and fashion retailers can't really do much in terms of business these days, so they will find the alternatives.
Yeah, and it's considering that every Animal Crossing avatar is just kind of like the same cartoony person, and ostensibly every clothing item is like one of like 3 shapes, but people who are good at this kind of design have really made that work and done a lot to like make it look like they're wearing clothes that are like differently shaped than they actually are by matching skin tones and stuff like that, and really embraced the form. So yeah, as I haven't gotten super into sort of the fashion side of it, just because that's just not a world I've tapped into yet, but I've admired like people posting on Twitter and stuff where they're wearing like they've somehow imported Gucci into the game, like things like this.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, all right. And I love that the actual like high fashion designers who are using their designs in Animal Crossing. I just think it's such a creative way to sort of shift that expression, and in a way to kind of model it like in a hypothetical future world with more high intensity avatars. What does that kind of thing look like?
Right.
I just found a picture of someone in lingerie. Sorry.
That's what I'm saying. They like, there's no, you can't just wear lingerie at Animal Crossing. That's not something in the game, but people are like making facsimiles of it somehow.
Yeah, I think this person like just made the shirt look like the colors of it look like skin tone, and then use some shading of like darker skin tone to accentuate the boobs, and then over top of it is some very minimally covered laces. So
people do it all.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, I've been enjoying just like looking at like I'm on Reddit a lot, and like I follow a lot of like fandoms and anime and like just like TV show subreddits, and people all the time are posting like designs of either characters or clothing that look like it's from like a TV show or movie or something, or some show, and I'm just like, I want that, but I don't have this game.
Oh man, someone made Uncle Iroh kneeling by the tree singing Little Soldier Boy in Animal Crossing, and I was weeping the other day on Twitter.
God. Oh my god, I need to watch this as soon as we're done, and I will be weeping as well.
I also wanted to ask, speaking of the custom designs that you can make and import, have you done any importing of art pieces into your game outside of Red?
I actually have not imported anything yet. I just exported for the first time today. So I'm, in addition to all the other hobbies, I'm a flag nerd. And designed the flag for my island and really loved that design. And my partner wanted a flag design that they weren't able to make in the 32 by 32 pixel area. And so I took to it and I made the design and exported it to them. And they were able to go into the store, and you just type in a code and it downloads that piece of art onto your Switch, and you can have it in your walls. It's really incredible. But you've done the pieces from the Getty?
So I actually haven't. But so the Getty Art Museum did this push where they made like really nice Animal Crossing versions of their art easily available to download by people. But I actually decided to just go my own direction and just to download JPEGs of art pieces and then import them into a generator that creates like little Animal Crossing versions of those images, which I've been playing with a lot. I'll also link that in the description if anyone wants to play around with that. And I'm a little iffy on the strict legality of this because I think most of it is in like the public domain where it's okay to like display images of it, where I'm not profiting off of it. Like that kind of is fine. It might not be 100% fine, but also like who cares what I've got on my Animal Crossing island that's not for public consumption. So I've just been doing this, and I first set up like a little outdoor art gallery. You can just make, one of the things that built into this game is being able to just put custom designs on canvases. Like you just say like, I've imported this custom design, now it's on a canvas in front of me. And that's just something that exists built into the game. So I had a little outdoor gallery with all these canvases of different paintings that I liked. And then I decided to focus in and be a curator. So now on the top floor of my house, I've created an art gallery. It's like all white. It's got a little chair for a guard to sit. And then I have been, I've decided to like display different artists with a focus. So right now I have a Georgia O'Keeffe exhibit in my home gallery.
Amazing.
The only annoying thing about it is you kind of are limited by size. They're just these squares, and I tried to make a bigger painting. So there's this Georgia O'Keeffe painting called Sky Above Clouds 4 that I really like.
Oh, yeah. I love that painting.
It's so good, and it's huge. So I tried to make a really big version of it by like dividing the painting into sections and making them individual designs to like make one big wall design.
Right. And
it kind of works, but the way the game is set up, there is a gap between each image. So I have deconstructed Sky Above Clouds in my home gallery. Just not ideal.
That painting's in the Art Institute of Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right there, actually 2 doors down from the Surratt that you just talked about.
Ah,
there you go.
Well, it is in the Art Institute as well as the top floor of your house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a beautiful place. I'm going to recreate the Art Institute in my Animal Crossing house.
Bit by bit.
That would take a long time, but maybe I should.
You could, I'd say, recreate a couple rooms from the Art Institute.
You can't make your house that big, unfortunately. Continual expansion.
Yeah, no, I haven't done any importing yet, but it's on my to-do list.
If anyone out there listening has done some fun things, either with their art from Red or like importing art pieces or fashion pieces, I'd love to see them.
Yeah, I would love to see pictures and screenshots of what everyone's created just to give myself some inspiration.
I've tried to make the Accession show art but the Accession show art is very busy and very colorful and very hard to express in 32 by 32 squares. Yeah. So maybe I'll try this JPEG uploader. That might be a little bit easier.
Yeah, using the uploader is helpful because I don't really have any design skills at all. So this way, and then the uploader, then you can edit it it'll automatically generate something, and then you can edit it past there to make sure that it looks exactly how you want it to look. But definitely skipping quite a few steps. Take a little shortcut by doing that.
Well, I guess my only other question for you guys is what is your favorite part of the game, if you haven't talked about it already, or if you want to reemphasize?
Okay. I honestly, my favorite, this would probably change in time. My favorite thing right now is the flowers of this game, because you can grow different colors of flowers and hybrid flowers. My island is named Rose Isle, and my island does not naturally grow roses, but I've decided it does now. I just have bought like so many rose seeds, and I have crossbred as many colors as I can, and I'm trying to crossbreed all of the rose colors and just cover my island in like blue roses and these beautiful colors. And so because that's kind of what I'm focusing on right now, it's my favorite part. They're so pretty.
I've gotten super into the flower gardening. Me and my partner both are like, "Oh, did your crossbreed work for this?" We're both trying to get the blue roses. We're working on it.
Oh, I can't wait to get some blue roses.
Oh, it's gonna be so good. My personal favorite part of this, I sound like Hugh Brandity, but my favorite part of this game is the museum.
The museum is so good.
It's so good. So it started out with just, I think we mentioned this before, you can put your fish there, you can put your fossils there, which you dig up, and you can put insects there, although Blathers is not very insect friendly, and so it's a little, there's contention on the internet about whether or not you should give your insects to Blathers. And then there's the art museum section, and they are all really mostly but very well designed spaces. The fish section has really cool like places where you can actually look at the fish that you've caught. The bug section is really well designed, and the museum, the art section is a little bit small, but it's fairly well designed as well. There's actually that's my broad favorite thing in the game. My actual favorite thing in the game is the music that plays when you're in the museum. They've done something a really lovely choice with the sound design, is that when you walk into the museum, there's a very simple theme playing, and it's just the piano and the oboe. And it's dum 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 dum. It's like a very soothing, repetitive loop. But then that same theme is played differently in every single room. So when you go over to the fish room, they've transferred that theme over to a synthesizer that gives it a sort of reverberation that makes it sound like you're underwater. When you go down into the dinosaur section, it's played on the marimba, so it sounds like you're hitting bones, right? When you go into the bug section, where there are spiders and other like buzzy winged insects, it switches over to the guitar, and so it has a very like natural buzzy kind of sound to it. And then when you go up into the art museum, it switches over to a Baroque style. It's played on a clavichord with a string quartet backing it. But the music continues throughout, and so I just love being in the museum with my headphones on and like enjoying the sound design of the space. So you know, it's one of those things where, you know, like enjoying any museum, it has its problems, right? Like the museum, I mean, the game is a very America and Japan focused game, and so almost all of the art is Western or Japanese. With maybe a few here and there that come from other cultures, but maybe to the same extent that most museums have. But it's just such a nice space to be in, and I've really found a lot of comfort in watching the fish swim around in my aquariums, or looking at my giant dinosaur skeletons, or looking at the art that we have. So
that's fantastic. I can tell you're a music major.
Yes. A music major and a sound designer. Those are my
there you go.
Those are my keys.
Oh, I think that is a beautiful way to end this.
Yeah. Lovely. I have just placed a Nintendo Switch into my shopping cart on Amazon. So
yeah,
I will I guess figure out how to find you guys somehow on there.
Add us.
Definitely.
We'll visit your island.
Oh my god. I'm so excited.
Ponders, thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course, anytime.
Thank you so much. I'm so gonna play this game.
Good. It is a really beautiful game. Like I can't begin to express all the things that it's given me. Not just like, you know, the museum space, but also, you know, having a place to visit people who I don't get to see, my partner especially, who lives in a different country. I like, there was a moment where I was like having a really tough time in the middle or early April, and I fell in love with the mechanic of the net in Animal Crossing. And how this net that you use, you get to use it a number of times to collect the bugs, but at some point it breaks. And then you have to build a new net. And the net is the easiest thing to build in Animal Crossing. It requires 5 sticks. And it has these limited uses. But I actually took a minute and I retrained my brain to think about hope in the real world, like this net in Animal Crossing, which is you use it and you have occasional uses for it, and you go collect the things that you need with that hope. You use hope where you need to use hope, but hope does break, and that's okay, because it's also very easy to use the small like pieces to build a new net, to like have that to carry forward with you. And it's all these little subtle ways of looking at the world that are carefully woven into the design of the game, that it's a very special game for me right now. So I quite love it.
That is like the most beautiful metaphor I've ever heard.
I'm just gonna go cry now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go cry because of your metaphor, and then I'm gonna watch the Uncle Arrow video, and then tonight it's just gonna be a sob fest, and my boyfriend's gonna be like, what happened?
I may break quarantine to go get some Ben and Jerry's after this.
It was the net. Thanks everybody out there for listening. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram at Pictorial Pod, or our show notes at relay.fm/pictorial. And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram at AspiringRobotFM.
And you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Articulations V. I'm also on YouTube at Articulations.
And I'm on Twitter and Instagram as @THPonders. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram as @AccessionFM. And you can find my show at accession.fm, where I tell stories like the net story, but for pieces of art. They're very hopeful and very soppy, and a blend of fiction and nonfiction, and a lot of fun. We have an upcoming episode about Graciela Iturbide and the Desert Angel. I'm very excited about. So.
Yeah, check it out. And thanks for listening, art enthusiasts.